Hello and welcome back to the Trainers of the World Tournament. I'm your host DeltaTDS, and today for the final match of round 3, we've got two former champions, the Pokemon trainer Alder going up against the Pokemon trainer Peony. Alder's coming from all the way back in round 1 where he beat Malva 2-0, and in round 2 he beats the Galar Gym Leader Gordy 2-1. As for Peony, he beat Opal back in round 2 with a 2-0 victory. Alder's got a Z Crystal on one of his Pokemon. Peony has the Gigantamax Caparaja. And once these trainers are ready, we can finally end round 3. Alder leading off with the Reuniclus, Peony with the Metagross. Going for the Iron Head, doing 40% as Reuniclus sets up a Reflect. Alder being on the defensive side. Peony's going to switch to the Berserker as Alder switches to the Crocodile. This Crocodile could do a lot of damage to Peony's team. Gonna switch out to the Bronzong and predict that Earthquake with that Levitate. Alder's gonna switch out to the Conkeldurr as Peony sets up a Trick Room. Extra Sensory is doing 78% to Conkeldurr. Payback's doing 97% to Bronzong. Nearly taking it out. Gonna switch out to the Scizor. Mach Punch is doing 40% to Scizor. And Conkeldurr just has one turn left thanks to that Life Orb. Scizor is left with 25% right now and one turn of Trick Room left. Alder's going to send out the Reuniclus, set up the Reflects as X-Scissor does 58% to Reuniclus. Just as that Trick Room ends, Bullet Punch does finish off that Reuniclus. And Alder is currently down 2 Pokemon right now as he sends out the Volcarona. Setting up his Quiver Dance. Dual Wing Beat is going to do 42%, burn the Scizor, and then a 23% after that thanks to that burn. Peony's going to send out the Aggron now. Heat Wave takes Aggron down to that sturdy. Stone Edge with a critical hit. The Charty Berry is not enough to save it. It's currently a 3v5 right now. And Alder's going to send out the Chandelure. Flamethrower is going to take out that Aggron. And Peony's going to send out the Caparaja now. Going to go ahead and Dynamax that. Flamethrower is going to do 65% to Caparaja as Max Quake does take out that Chandelure. And Alder's going to send out the Braviary now. Close Combat does finish off that Caparaja. And Peony's now down to 3 Pokemon as he sends out that Metagross. Iron Head's doing 81% to Braviary and flinching it too. Another Iron Head does take out that Braviary, and it's all down to Crocodile here, who can't go for Earthquake if it's Scarfed. Goes for the Crunch instead, taking out that Bronzong and getting the Moxie boost. Peony's going to send out the Berserker, going to do 54%, and Seed Bomb does take out that Crocodile. Peony, with 2 Pokemon left, takes game number 1. We saw a move from everything. We saw the Life Orb on Scizor. We saw the Sturdy on Aggron. And as for Alder's side, we saw a move from everything. We saw the Charty Berry from Volcarona, Life Orb on the Conkeldurr. We saw the Reflect on Reuniclus, and the Moxie on that Crocodile. We are back on the field for game number 2, and we'll see if Alder can bring this to a game 3. Starting off with the Volcarona, and Peony starts off with that Scizor. Peony's going to switch out to that Bronzong as Volcarona sets up a Quiver Dance now. Heat Wave's gonna do 80% with that Oka Berry as Bronzong sets up the Trick Room. Shadow Ball's doing 15%. Heat Wave does finish off that Bronzong. And after this Trick Room, I believe no more are happening or are being set up. Peony's gonna set up the Metagross or set out the Metagross. Rock Slide through the Charty Berry is gonna do 74% to Volcarona. Heat Wave does take out that Metagross as Peony sends out the Aggron now. This thing we know has 30. Aggron with the Stone Edge is going to take out that Volcarona. And Alder loses his first Pokemon of this game as he sends out the Conkeldurr now. Hammer Arm brings Aggron down to that 30. And Conkeldurr's hurt by both the Life Orb and the Rocky Helmet as Iron Head does 36% to Conkeldurr. Trick Room ends. Mach Punch is going to do 39% to Scizor. Bullet Punch does finish off that Conkeldurr and reveals that Scizor does have that Life Orb as well. Alder's going to now send out that Chandelure. We've seen this thing do quite a bit of damage. Flamethrower to the Aggron is going to take it out. And Peony's going to send out that Copperajah. We've seen this matchup last game. And Chandelure was able to do quite a lot of damage to Copperajah. Switching to the Crocodile, Max Quake is going to do 63% to Crocodile. Earthquake's going to do 54% to Copperajah as it goes for G-Max Steel Surge. Chandelure is going to fall to that Max Quake. And Reuniclus is going to be sent out now as that Dynamax does end. Outrage with the crits doing 71% as Reuniclus sets up a Reflect. Outrage doing 24% now. Psychic does finish off that Copperajah. And it's 2v2 right now. Berserker coming out with a critical hit. Iron Head's going to take out that Reuniclus, and it's all down to Braviary once more. Close Combat with the crit takes out the Berserker. And now it's just down to Scizor and Braviary. Bullet Punch doing 44% to Braviary. Close Combat does finish off that Scizor. And Alder able to take game number 2 on his last Pokemon too. We saw that the Scizor does have the Life Orb, that Bronzong has the Oka Berry. We saw the Rocky Helmet on the Aggron. And as for Alder's side, we saw Psychic from the Reuniclus, which why wouldn't it have it? But not much new from Alder's side. We're back on the field for game number 3, and once these trainers are ready, we can see who the last trainer will be joining going into round 4. Peony leading off with that Scizor, Alder leading off with the Reuniclus. Scizor's going for a Swords Dance as Reuniclus sets up a Reflect. And switching out to the Chandelure, X-Scissor is going to do 20% to Chandelure. Scizor is probably not going to want to stay into this Flamethrower as Peony sends out that Aggron, dealing 70% to it. Another Flamethrower does take out that Aggron. Peony's going to now send out that Metagross. Earthquake is going to do 50% to Chandelure as Flamethrower takes out that Metagross. Peony's now going to send out that Copperajah. The third time we see this matchup. Gonna go ahead and Dynamax. Flamethrower is doing 65% against that Copperajah. G-Max Steel Surge does take out that Chandelure. And Alder's gonna send out that Reuniclus now. Another Gmax Steel Surge does 73% to Reuniclus as it sets up that Reflect. And one more takes it out. And Copperage's Dynamax should be ending this turn. Volcarona is going to set up a Quiver Dance. Heat Crash is doing 34%, and that Copperage is going to get burned thanks to that Flame Body. Heat Wave does finish off that Copperage. It's currently 4v3 right now, as Peony sends out the Berserker. Heat Wave does take Berserker out, just one hit. The Reflect wears off. Bullet Punch from the Scizor is going to do 32%. Heat Wave does take out that Scizor, and it's all down to Bronzong here. Heat Wave with the Okaberry is doing 74% as Bronzong sets up one more Trick Room. Extra Sensory not enough to take out Volcarona as Heat Wave finishes off that Bronzong. And Alder with 4 Pokemon left takes game number 3, which means he's our last trainer to move on to round 4, where he will be facing off against the Galar Gym Leader Bea. Join us tomorrow where we'll be starting off round 4 with Pokemon Trainer Silver going up against the Pokemon Trainer Honey. Thank you so much for watching, and until then, take care.